Welcome to the Engage for More podcast. We're so thrilled that you're with us today and joining us. You know, we exist to encourage you to engage for the more that Jesus came to offer you. My name is Kim Ball, and I'm sitting here with my friend.
Hello, I'm Gwen Neal.
I am so glad that we get to have this conversation together. Because honestly, I need this episode myself.
For sure.
Today, we are going to be framing our whole conversation around Psalms 46:10. Mm-hmm. Be still and know that I am God.
Yes.
The beginning of this year, I landed myself with COVID for the very first time. Oh, crazy. I've never had it before. How many years has it been since it's come into play? Almost 4 years. And tested positive for COVID. And then a week later developed pneumonia that went along with it. And it was like God was saying, I cannot make you be still, but here you are.
Yeah.
And I'm still in a place where I'm over it, but I'm not over the fatigue. And so he from that very time, he's been just, the words be still have just shown up everywhere.
Yeah.
I want you to be still.
Right.
Be still. And so I love to go and look at the different versions. My favorite version of this verse is in Psalms 46:10 is the Message version.
Let's hear it.
Stop and get out of the traffic. Stop and get out of the traffic. And for us as women, to be honest, we're always on the go. Always. Either we're at home with young babies, washing and washing bottles, getting dinner ready, getting the kids fed, taking them places if you're a stay-at-home mom, or if you have a job, you're going to the next meeting, you're in the next meeting, and the traffic is busy.
Yes.
The traffic goes fast.
That's right.
And if I don't know where you live, but if you even stop to slow down, you're going to get run over.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yes.
And so what God's calling us in the Message version is to stop and get out of the traffic.
Yeah.
Get out of that traffic. Take a long, loving look at me, your high God, above politics, above everything, it says.
Wow.
So not only just to be still and sit there, but take a long, loving look at me. How do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we do that? And when we do that, what are we doing? And I just think about the story of Mary and Martha is that Mary sat to sit at Jesus's feet, Jesus's feet, and thinking she stopped and got out of the traffic. Martha was running,
still in the traffic. Yeah.
And Jesus told her, Mary knows what's most important. Just sit and be with me. Be still and know that I am God.
That's right.
And stillness is countercultural, right?
Right.
And
oh my gosh, it starts from the minute that alarm goes off at 5:20 or 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
We're just going until we pass out.
Exactly. At night.
Right.
That's right. And so when have you as listeners and us, the questions for us too, when is the last time that you just sat at Jesus's feet? That you sat, you opened the word, you soaked it in, and you just said, teach me, God.
Yeah.
Teach me. It's so important, especially as we're setting the tone for our year.
Right.
We started out with goals last, the first of this month, talking about what our goals are, faith-fueled goals.
Yeah.
And then we talked about last week about what God's love means for us, how we display it personally and professionally and all those things.
Yeah.
But today, if we think about this tone we're going to set for the rest of the year, is are we going to stay in the traffic? And one of the things that we're reading a book as a staff, and I highly recommend it, Praying Like Monks by Tyler Stanton. Okay. And one of the things that that he says in this book is that solitude is the furnace of transformation. Let me say that again. Solitude is the furnace of transformation. So if we're seeking to be transformed on the daily, if we want to be more like God, then we have got to stop and get out of the traffic and just sit in solitude with Him.
Yes.
That is, and to take it a step further, is the greatest form of evangelism that we have as Christians is to be transformed. Because because if we're not transformed, then nobody can see who Jesus is.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so as Christians, if we want to be transformed, then we've got to be still and sit.
That's right.
In front of him. Nobody can can perceive us as any different from anybody else, a Christian or a non-Christian or a different, anything, unless that we've been with him and that we've been changed.
That's right. That's right. And so when I think about Mary and Martha, and even when I think about a famous monk eons ago, and I can't remember his name right now, if I recall it, I'll put it in the show notes. But his reputation was such that he was always still. He was always at peace. He was filled with joy. And I don't mean still as in not moving, but while he was cleaning dishes, washing dishes, cleaning the kitchen, sweeping tables, mopping the floors, there was always a peace about him, a stillness. And that's because he took the time to be still, and he knew who God was.
Yes.
It says, be still and know. In another translation, it says, what is that? 46:10.
Yes.
It says, stop your fighting and know that I am God.
Ooh.
Stop all of this trying to be the problem solver. Trying to run and put this fire out and another fire out over here. Stop. Get somewhere and sit down.
Yes, exactly.
As my dad used to say when we were little, going in and out constantly. And how that looks for me, if I take the time, or when I take the time to stop and be still and know him, what I'm doing is I'm getting to know God, his character, the way he works, the way he wants me to work, the way he wants to work through me. I'm knowing God. I'm getting to know him. And that's what Mary was doing when she was sitting at Jesus' feet. She was listening to the parables, the stories he was sharing, the teaching, getting to know him. And then once she was able to get that inside of her to know, this is who Jesus is. This is what he's able to do.
Yes.
This is how he operates. Then she could go and help Martha serve, cook, clean, because inside she knew who Jesus was. What he's able to do, how it doesn't rest with her.
Yes. I love that, Gwen. That is so good.
Okay. Yeah.
That
Jesus.
is so good. Yeah. That is so good. And the Hebrew word, I believe, is the Hebrew word for be still is vaka, the V-A-C-A, which is the root word for vacation. And it's like God saying, I need you to take a vacation from trying to play God.
Ooh, honey.
Right.
Yes.
And I need you to not try to be God over your whole life. I need you to surrender, and I need you to let go.
Ouch.
I need you to surrender, and I need you to let go. But it's not until we're still that we can start to even surrender. We're too busy doing other things. We don't even know what we need to surrender. We're not even aware of where we have voids in our life, right? But when we start to be still, it was like you said, we learn the character of God.
Right.
But when we're too busy to even open our Bibles, and our Bibles are just dust collectors on the side tables of our bedrooms, then we don't know who he is. We don't know why we even need to be still.
Yeah.
Gosh, we have 400 things to do on our to-do list. But when we are still, when we take a vacation from playing God and we let him be our God, then we can learn more about who he is and what he wants for us, just like you just said.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so I just stopped to ask in the middle of this, asking the question, and we're posing some questions for reflection for you all, is what are you afraid of being still? Why are you not still?
Yeah.
What is the fear in being still? Sometimes, if I had to be quite honest, I don't love silence. God's really taught me to love silence, though. he has really been so sweet in that, is to teach me. So last year he started teaching me to just turn down that radio in my car and talk to me, but I love some noise in the background, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't even K-Love. I mean, he told me to turn that down too. Just be still and talk to me.
Yeah.
Be still and let's work through this together. Whatever your day, your frustrations are. And he has really taught me to love silence. And so why are you not being still?
Yeah.
Are you afraid your to-do list won't get done? Are you afraid that you have nothing to say to God?
Ooh.
What is it? What are those things? And, there's really there's definitely not a wrong answer.
Right.
It's just that when we're able to identify what keeps us from being still, then we're able to work through it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, I like what you said at the beginning. It really took you having a case of COVID, pneumonia, in order to be still.
Right. Shame on me. But shame off me now.
That's right.
Because God had a plan.
Yeah.
And a purpose for it. Yes.
And I recognize even in myself, the only time that I'm still like on a commute home, nothing's on, I'm not moving, I'm just driving, hands at 10 and 2, I'm not checking my phone, is when I've had an exhausting day. The day when your sweater gets caught on the doorknob and you just want to have a temperature tantrum.
It's just come in bundles of crazy things happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it shouldn't have to get to that point where we just don't move. We can't think. We're just on autopilot driving home. Get a handle on it before it gets to that point.
Absolutely.
Get a handle on it. And the way you get a handle on it, and I know we say this every other podcast, and we're going to keep saying it, is you need your quality time alone with God first.
That's right.
Before the mayhem begins, before you check social media, emails, text messages, before you let all of that stuff flood you, steal away with him for some quality one-on-one with the one who can provide peace to all the other fires in your life.
That is so true.
Yeah.
I love the Passion translation of this. So just kind of fishing around different translations, it says, surrender your anxiety. So if you have anxiety about being still, surrender that to him. Lord, I'm just afraid I'm not going to get I find that I have the most productive days when I turn over my whole day to him. And we talked about this in one of our podcasts at the beginning of February, is when you surrender your whole day to him and you surrender that anxiety to him. It says, be still and know that I am God. Surrender your anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop arguing. Those things cause anxiety, right? Step out of the traffic. All of these translations talk about just letting the distractions, which we're going to talk about next podcast about distractions, but letting those take the side alley.
Yeah.
And that we get out of the traffic and we be with him. In this book that I referenced at the beginning, Praying Like Monks, he references Henry Nouwen, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Henry says that hurry is the enemy of our spiritual life.
That's the truth. Haste makes waste.
Yes, haste makes waste. Hurry is the enemy of our spiritual life. He references Carl Jung, who's a Swiss psychiatrist, that says, hurry is just not the devil. It's not of the devil. It is the devil. Hurry. When we think about it like that, are we going to let the devil win? Are we going to put our days in such craziness and chaos that we're going to let Satan win our day?
I needed to hear that about the hurry.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the devil.
Yes.
Because when we're constantly making decisions, responding back, we're not thinking things through. That's when we make mistakes. Yes. That's when we have to go back and apologize or repent. It's crazy.
When we're hurting, we cannot be present for the present.
Yeah.
Right? We cannot be present for those. We can't recognize that those around us need us. We're right where we are before we move to the next thing. And so I love that when he says, hurry is not of the devil. Hurry is the devil.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to let Satan win.
No.
And so this is begging me. So all of these things that we're talking about is things that I'm dealing with right now, is to go back and look how I'm scheduling my days.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Slow down. This is what I've written down for myself, to slow down, remember who God really is.
Okay.
And then to remember who I really am.
Yeah. And we touched on that in January podcast.
Yes. Yes.
I like that.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be still. We're going to stop.
Yes.
And we're going to get out of the traffic.
That's right.
And I think about when we're on, if you live in the Mid-South, 240 in Memphis, like it's just mayhem. But getting out of that traffic when it's time to exit and you're in the far left lane and you got to put on a signal. Hey, I'm moving over.
Yes.
I'm getting out of this rat race. You can have it. Here's my exit. We got to do the same thing. Hey, put on your signal light, slow it down a bit, start
getting over
and getting out of that traffic. Yeah.
I love it.
Let them have it.
Won't you get out of the traffic today? We hope that this has been helpful for you, because clearly I'm just working through my own stuff up here. So
that's what we do.
That's what we do. We work through the things that we are having trouble doing ourselves. So we hope that this has been a wonderful podcast. We thank you for joining us. Will you share and like and follow our podcast? We would love for, and I know that we celebrated in January that this podcast was on the top 100 of the Christian podcast, and we want it to get even bigger and bring more glory to God, not because of us, but for what God is doing through Engage for More. And so we thank God and give all the glory to Him.
Yes,
but it couldn't be what it is without you listeners. And we thank you for liking and sharing and following our podcast. Have a great day.